Squawks' Shaft, to me, is the quintessential mine level. The colors, the music, the enemies, and of course, the return of Squawks, now fully grown. It's hard for me to put into words, but there's just something so fun about this level. There's this real sense of adventure here, and in a way, this feels like the moment DKC2 really finds its rhythm. This is part 11 of Overthinking Donkey Kong Country 2. Squawks is the star here, no two ways about it. The second half of the level revolves around him, and unlike other animal buddies, you can't lose him. Squawks is the final of the main 5 animal buddies to be revealed, and it must have come as such a surprise to returning players. You'd see his name in the title and think you're in for another Torchlight trouble, only to find him much bigger than in DKC. Big enough to carry the 2 monkeys in his talons, and able to puke eggs for some reason. He's a great addition to the animal buddy roster, and one that opens up a whole new style of gameplay. They really knocked it out of the park with this game. Anyway, let's riff on the level for a little bit. Right away, we're introduced to Crook, a new member of the Kremling crew, and one of the more formidable members at that. I don't know if it's the coat or what, but I always got the impression that, like Clump or Kannon, he was one of the higher ranking members of the crew, despite being one of the smaller ones. He fights by throwing his hook hands, which boomerang back to him. Crook dominates the first half of the level, but there are no small amount of Clomps and Zingers peppered in there as well. It's yet another vertical level, with the main gameplay focus in the first half being the rotating barrel cannons. Similar to Snow Barrel Blast, but not nearly as frustrating. And that's more or less it for the first half. Pretty straightforward. After the halfway barrel, we're soon introduced to the new and improved Squawks. As the player gets a feel for the controls, they instinctively move upward, where there's a Y made of bananas. If they haven't already tried it out, this will tip them off as to Squawks' only mode of attack. And so the level progresses upward with the player spitting eggs at Zingers and Crooks. We meet a red Zinger for the first time outside of a couple of bonus stages here, and the difference between the red and yellow Zingers is made very clear. I want to detour quickly here and say that the difference between the red and yellow could have simply been that the red is invincible, and that's that. But the devs went out of their way to use the red Zingers in more creative ways, from serving as stepping stones for Rambi to controlling the pacing of Squawks. Moving on. Crook is a pretty imposing presence on the back end, but nothing you can't handle. Mini Neckies and Kannon return here too. This is also the first time we see Kannon shooting downwards. Patience is a virtue once again here, and it's generally just a solid crash course in using Squawks, which I think is fair. Remember, there's been nothing like this in the DKC series so far, so this is unfamiliar territory for everyone. To say Squawks' Shaft is Squawks' home turf might be pushing it a bit. I think the name is purely a reference to the gameplay. Squawks' presence here could be another canary in the coal mine bit. Maybe he was taken here to scout, or to just make sure the air was breathable, or whatever. Funnily enough, there's a noticeable increase in Kremling presence here, as opposed to in Kannon's claim. We could chalk this up to the stones in the background, which, in the Kremling's mind, could be more valuable, as they more resemble gold. I tried to figure out what the stones could actually be. There are a lot of minerals that are aesthetically similar, but seeing as we're close to lava, I think we can make 2 assumptions. These stones formed in igneous rock and are heat affected. Going off that, they could be citrine quartz, topaz, or even a type of diamond. There are more possibilities, but if I'm being honest, I don't have the time or energy to do the necessary research. Not the best note to end on, but whatever. I absolutely adore this level. Something about it just takes me back to being a kid, playing it for the first time. I think it's this perfect storm of music, visuals, and gameplay that just feels so adventurous. It feels like the Goonies. There it is. It feels like the Goonies. I can't articulate my feelings. See you in the next one.